Well, I'll get started with you guys because I don't know where our normal crew is. This is actually a pretty good session in my opinion today. So I wanted to talk about the basis, because I always have to talk about a Compass tool, is insights reports, but it's also just about actually getting these price reductions, because at the same time, also things that aren't going my way, I feel like I finally get a great listing. I think it's going to fly off, sits on for 50 days. I'm like, wait, what is going on? So this market is just very, I don't even want to call it like unstable, but that's kind of how it's been feeling. It's like, why is X going and why is not? The comps match, everything matches. And I have one of those listings right now, and I've been really successful. They're not difficult people. They're just kind of difficult people, but I love them. It's weird. It's like those clients that I love and we have such a great rapport, but they're just very, they fight me on everything, even though we love each other. It's a very weird relationship. So getting a price reduction out of them has not been easy. They also built this house themselves. It's a custom build. They're both architects. They both designed the house. So it's a very complicated situation because there's so much emotion involved, and I don't want to hurt their feelings and say it's not worth X amount. I also don't feel that I make the prices. I think it's worth it. I happen to be super biased and I would buy this house in a heartbeat if I could, but other people are not necessarily feeling that same way of actually solidifying the deal. So I was very successful, got a price reduction from them about 3 weeks ago. We had great traction, and it's actually coming up time where I feel like we need to do another adjustment, either with the price or, let me go into Do Not Disturb for a second. Either with the price or bringing in staging or just changing something. Something's got to give right now. It's just not, something's not working. So the first time when I did it, I was really successful. They're very data-driven people. They're very smart people. They know what they're doing, and that's kind of where they want me to hit them with. So I got them the whole insights report. We had done a really expensive ad for them in Escape Brooklyn that got awesome traction. We got a lot of people DMing me and all this good stuff, but that was $1,000. And I actually haven't been keeping the prices hidden from them in a sense, because I think that sometimes people should know, you know, this is actually how much I've spent on me so far, have spent on your thing, $600 for the video, $1,000 for photography, blah, 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 because it's always our fault, right? And these actually happen to be people who really respect us, and they interviewed a few people before us, and they appreciate what we bring to the table. It hasn't been a situation like that, thank God. But it's forced me to also remember that there are situations where you need to let people know, listen, I have done everything that I can at this point. So what is the last thing that's left here? Must be the price. So yeah, it's a big old dollar sign. So they were very receptive to it after an hour and a half on the phone call. And finally, we were able to get like a, $40,000 price reduction. It doesn't need much, but it does need it to kind of like that. What are like those paddles they put on your chest? That's like what I feel like we need to keep doing to the listing. And then once they're alive again, I just need to be able to actually close a deal with somebody. So I wanted to kind of talk about how I approach that whole situation and actually doing it in a very non-combative way. Not saying this works every single time, but I do feel like if I don't get the price reduction, I feel like I have my answer, if that makes sense, because anybody who's going to fight me that hard on it, and especially with the listing that's not selling right now, it does cause me to reevaluate. Do I want to continue not only sinking in, who cares? Forget the money. Spending $600, very easy to do. It's more so about my time and my energy. Do I want to continue working with somebody like that? And there have been times where we've just kind of released either somebody out of a contract, or we've let it expire, or we've parted ways very amicably. It doesn't always have to be a bad situation, but I don't feel like if you're not going to buy into what I'm telling you to do, maybe you should work with somebody else. Because if once we're not on the same team, I learned this from my mom first thing when I got into the business, once we're not on the same team, nothing's going to happen. Because now we're going like this, that's not what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to be like this, and maybe the other side should go like that. So, kind of a problem. So I'll share with you my insights report, everything that you guys have. I'll share with you a few things that I had done for them, like the video and things like that, and that they loved. And I have that in writing too, because I sent it to them. They're like, oh my God, this video is tremendous. So, and I love to say all that. And then at the end of the conversation, I love to say, well, remember, you think the video is tremendous. You think the photos are tremendous. Buyers are spending 2 minutes on here. You've had 16 people in the house. Why haven't we closed this deal already? It's crazy. And then they kind of get what I'm trying to say here. So that's kind of how I like to go about it. So I'll share my screen. It's actually really nice that we have a small group. So please, please, please stop me if you need anything, or if you want to just ask a question. All right. Great. So let me start over here. So this is the insights report. I'm just going to start. I know a lot of us probably know how to get there. I'm just going to go get it again really quick. So when you're in Compass Home right here and you scroll down to insights, just going to click on the listing that one of the listings that you have. So I clicked on 24 Ridge, which is the one I'm talking about. And over here in the corner, I press generate report. You can either do the last 30 days or the last 60 days, 90 days, custom, whatever you want to do. For this specific one, because we did a price reduction about 25 days ago, I'm going to do the last 30 days because I'm more interested to see kind of how have we done since then. If you wanted to go last 60 days, you can also do both. So I'll do 60 days first, for instance. And then when you go down here, you'll see when we first went on the market, we had a spike, went down, had a little more of a spike down here. I think that was when maybe one of the ads went out. And then again, when we did that price reduction, and then it goes down. So this is very helpful visually for somebody, I think, to see like, wait, why did we randomly spike during each of those times? Then why did we dip during others? So this is what I meant by like the paddles, like, and I actually might use that example with clients. Sometimes it's like, we got to just get a little bit of life back into the listing, doing something. So this is very helpful to show people. So for this one, I'm going to go and do last 30 days for the report I'd actually send them. You can set this email schedule out to them once a week. I have done that before, and it's worked sometimes. Sometimes I also feel like this is a lot of information, and I don't feel like they have enough context as to other things that this doesn't tell us about, like the feedback that we've gotten on the listing, how many showings have we had on the listing, how many questions have I fielded from people. So sometimes I don't just want to give them this data without actually my broker sense of actually how the listing's done. Great. I understand the metrics, and that's really helpful to a certain extent, but they also want to know the stuff that only you can know about it. So just think about if you have a client who might overanalyze setting that email schedule. I would much rather just send it to them the way I'm going to show you when you really feel like you have an update for them to have. And also a lot of the times right now, you know, unless it's overpriced, which is a very unique listing, this one's like a tiny bit of both, I think. You probably won't even have the time to send them an insights report. So this is really for those ones where you just can't, you kind of overshot it a little bit, which is kind of what I had done. So I'm going to press generate report right here. This will create that PDF version of it. And now you can either email it to them or you can download it. I personally choose to download them because then I can attach them into my email that has the whole analysis of everything else. So when you go and scroll down, I think we did the price reduction on like the 20th or something like that. So this is fine. This will show me exactly what I need. We had about 3,700 views. Some were from returning. You can see a little bit of new visitors. And this is really the number. I don't really care about all this, to be honest. I really care about how many views and how long are people spending, because this shows me that they're probably watching the 40-second video or whatever it is that I just had created that went in like first week of May. And I know that people aren't just clicking on, clicking off. Like sometimes some of my listings will be like 30 seconds or something like that. This is one that people are clearly trying to figure out. And I'll show you guys the listing too, but like, how can I make this work for me? Because the location is perfect. I know that's what people are saying. And then this, I think, is very visually appealing to tell the story I'm trying to tell to the sellers to get them to where I want them to be. So we went up, you know, spikes went up. As soon as we dropped beneath that 1.3, we were at 1.325. We dropped to 1.295. Very big threshold in this specific village that I'm talking about. We would have been kind of setting a record with that first one. And this one's still a little high for the village, but the house is tremendous. So you see that. And then I'll share with you in like my email what kind of happened afterwards in regards to actually what was happening with the listing, not just online. This is like a Facebook post that I think my mom posted, whatever she likes to post it through here. That's fine. Anything you post through there is okay. You can see some of like the impressions on Instagram. Great, great, great. And then the map. These clients really care about the map. They love the map. They like to see where people are coming from. They know that the buyer's coming from Manhattan. They get upset with me when a buyer is not from Manhattan and they just happen to love their house in town and maybe they want to move, whatever. So this is really helpful to me. This is a big reason why they love that we were with Compass. They think we have a lot of presence in the city, which we do, but we all know that it's not really all about that. It's more about the brokers. So whatever. So this, again, every time I show them the map, they feel like they're proven to, again, that Compass is doing what Compass should be doing with their reach across the country. Great. So that's kind of everything on that. Any questions so far or comments if you guys are sending these or anything like that?
Kate, can you back up to just one step all the way at the very beginning? How did you get, this is phenomenal. I've never been trained on this. I'm thrilled.
Good.
I have a listing I can use this for like right now because I'm begging their forgiveness that I just dropped the ball on so many pieces. Love to do this. So where do you start to get that first?
So right when you're in Compass Home, go back here.
Yeah.
Do you see this insights with the Okay.
Yeah.
Click on that.
I'm taking notes. Okay.
Good. Click on that. And then you're just going to click on whichever listing it is.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And text me if you need any help with anything, just text me or email me. Okay. So now I'm going to move off of insights for a second. I want to go into the email. So this is an example. I couldn't find the email for some reason, which was super annoying. That actually got me this first price reduction with this listing, but it's fine. I rewrote pretty much what I think I said. You'll notice like there's not a whole lot of fluff with this. Like this is kind of the facts are what facts are. And I always ask if we can like discuss this. This is never something that's going to be done. Like I love being on the phone with people. I think nothing gets misconstrued. Like I'm like maybe more like I learned that from my mom. I just think it's much better to discuss, but I do want to have some kind of something in writing. So I say, good afternoon. Please see the insights report attached below. Most likely I've already texted them. Like I'm going to be sending you guys a more in-depth update tomorrow or something, but you could say, like, how are you? Whatever. I don't do any BS. I'm like, here you go. We've gained excellent traffic since introducing the price below 1.3 at the end of April. And then this is like where I outline some of those important things. Over 3,700 views online. And then they'll see that in the insights report. It's also what I like about insights. It's not like you're just this broker that's like BSing things, that's saying, oh no, I swear you've gotten 4,000 views online and you've done this. Like, no, this is what it is. Like we can't go and change those insights reports even if we wanted to. So that's true. And then we did 3 open houses totaling over 16 parties. Like our open houses are always very busy. 5 private showings in addition to that. So 21 showings in total. It did produce 4 offers. And the buyers are spending over 2 minutes on the listing online. Producing 4 offers, some were like, okay, offers. They just like, they really shouldn't have taken them. I agreed with them. They were too low. But then also 2 of them, the buyers couldn't really get on the same page. One of them they inspected. They felt like because a door wasn't closing properly, that they needed a whole structural engineer. The house was going to come down. I'm like, this house is 14 years old. That's not going to happen probably, but okay. So just crazy people. So what I told them honestly is like, we have some nutty energy going on in this house and we are just attracting the most wild people ever. So that's kind of what it is. But at the same time, I don't really care that they didn't close yet. Like none of those actually were solidified. I like that people were making offers. This is great. People felt confident enough in the price now to make an offer. That price wasn't deterring them away. This is exactly how I would be talking to them on there. Because before we had, and like, this is why I wanted to show you that other one, we had only had that one offer that backed out. So I like that we were actually translating that price reduction into good feedback for them. And then I said, buyers are spending over 2 minutes on the listing online. This is like that part of it. When I'm on the phone with them talking about that, this is where I'm going to be talking about the Escape Brooklyn ad that we did that had great feedback. The video that we did that they told me in writing, like they loved it. I mean, these are really nice people. They're not like trying to fight me in any of this. They're not like, oh, I hate your pictures. I hate this. They agreed. They said, Kate, everything looks great. Your write-up is awesome. Everything's good, whatever. So this is helpful for me again to say, listen, it's not that people don't like your house. Yes, we have had a pretty good amount of showings, but now we've dwindled down. So I don't know if that's going to happen because we don't have, 5 private showings booked for the next 3 days. We got to revamp it again, get it alive. And then that will happen again. And we just kind of need to do that until we feel like, until we honestly get somebody to sign the contract. That's all we're trying to get to here. So this is the kind of conversation I like to have with them. As you can see, our views have dipped over the past few weeks, that same graph. The comp down, additionally, the comp down the street on Edgemont, which we had been holding on to, it was such a worse house or whatever. It was like really just not even a comparison to it. And we were at the same price and ours was bigger. They just finally dropped 100,000 down to 1.2. The house isn't going to trade for more than 1.1 or something like that, probably. But it was really helpful to have that there. Now that they just went down, we unfortunately just have to follow suit, whether it means the house is worth it or not. So that's a big driver of also me needing to talk to them. And then I just said, let me know when you have some time this week to strategize a successful game plan moving forward to generate more activity. Corinne and I have a few ideas that we'd love to discuss. And then I'll talk about that on the thing. We can stage, which I think is really going to be great, or we need to reduce the price again, but we have to do something to get that, whatever, pulse back in the house. And then I would send this. They would respond, we'd hop on the call. We basically have a conversation just like I just had with, I'd say with you, but more with myself and you right here. And then I personally do feel like whatever comes out of that, like I said before, you have like 3 outcomes. They can do the exact thing you went in there looking for, which happens most of the time for me. Or you guys strategize something else. Like in this case, I would rather them drop the price than us stage. But if they want to stage and keep the price, I'm also okay with that. It's like not my ideal option. So I always have like an A and B. I don't like to just give somebody one option and then they're like, okay, well, of course you want to drop the price, you broker. Of course, that's easy for you. And then the third one is really learning, especially like this house only been on the market for like 45 days. It's not that long. And I really like them. But in a past situation, it's like when you're sitting there hoping and praying that they just say, Kate, can you release us out of the contract? Like we've all been there. That's when you kind of need to realize, like, if this has been on the market for 200 days, you're flying over there, accompanying every showing. They never want to make a repair. They never want to do this. Like, do you want the listing or not? I'm not saying to not take it. I'm not saying to take it. I'm just saying that's the point where you have to be really honest about like, what am I learning from this, from like my 7th or 8th conversation with these people? So those are kind of the outcomes that I would say you're looking for out of this. And another, maybe it's not like the elephant in the room, but it kind of is to me. It's like, you actually have to be able to show them things that you've done. And I'm not saying any of you on this call need to say that to me right now, but it is a point where you do need to reflect a little bit and say, I've done this before. Like, Kate, have you actually done your absolute best? Have you done everything you could? Because if you can't be honest about that, I think it'll be a really hard conversation. And it's okay also in these conversations to say, you know what? I think there's another idea that I haven't done yet. And whatever, like I've had to tell them on this one, guys, I overshot the price. Okay, thank you. Thank you for admitting your part in this. Like I hate when a broker goes in and is always like, oh, it's impossible. It's impossible. There's no way I could have failed. Like we have not all gone to med school for 8 years and like had all this training. Like brokers mess up. That's okay. Like that's okay to admit that. And I think somebody else on here too is just saying that, like, that's fine, but admit your fault, because the moment that you become within reason. Okay. I know I'm being recorded right now. Within reason, admit your fault. If you did something really bad, maybe no. But in the case of like a price, like, yeah, I'll be like, yeah, that's where the data was going. Unfortunately, data on paper doesn't always translate into what people are actually going to feel when they come into the house. Fine. No problem. Now that you are vulnerable, I do feel like it opens up that conversation for them to start and chat about things that maybe they can be doing in this situation. Yvonne and I were talking about before when you guys came on, like you control, I control, no one can control. I have done everything I can control. Have you done everything you can control? And then there's all this other stuff outside of it that just nobody can. So we have to adapt as such. That's really all this conversation needs to be. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. I had like a few other things pulled up here. You can, if you don't have like the comps, if you don't have something that's like really pressing like this one comp, you can have your comps out here and you can be seeing how those have moved in the past. Like, would it be okay if we looked at these together and just kind of get an idea of like, how can we work? I always love to say like, how can we work on this? Yeah. Like I hate like killing them with like Kate's opinion, like why don't we look at this together? We're both, educated individuals. We can work as a team on this, and tell me what you're thinking. Like, have it really be a collaboration, because if they go in there and say like, oh, well, we chose this route together, it's not just Kate chose it, then I can't be the scapegoat if it didn't work. So I do try to get them to be kind of signing off essentially on our next plan, or on our next, part of this path. And then I would go through like our video that we created for them, just like little things like this, being like, do you like everything in the video? Do you like this? Whatever. And again, reinforcing all the things that we've done. Here's the ad in Escape Brooklyn. Yes, Kate, we love the ad. Here are the pictures. Yes, Kate, we love the pictures. So once I know that like they like all that other stuff, it is the elephant in the room that the only thing that's not matching up for people is the price, to at least get them through the door. And that would kind of be like my entire conversation with them. It's very matter of fact. I feel like people really appreciate that I've given them the time to, I don't know why, like people have always said this, like, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm like, we all do all this work just to sign up a listing, and then people disappear like a week after it. Oh, it didn't sell in the first weekend. Yeah, no, it didn't. That's going to happen sometimes. Sorry. I know it's been 4 years of that. I really do feel badly for people. I think that so many brokers like swindle them into signing this, and then like that service that they promised is just non-existent. That really bothers me. So I always want to make sure that people know, like, there is, like, I am actually still here. I know my pamphlet says I'm here 24/7 and all this. I actually am. So talk to me as much as you want, whenever you need to, all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that's where like the grit shines through a lot, is in situations like this. Matt had said to me, my fiance, I was like having a really, really tough time mentally. And I've been very open about this because I think people need to know it's like not always great. In the past like 3 months or so. And I've been like working on myself a lot since then, because I had a really difficult client. And Matt had said to me, he's like, Kate, if everything went perfect, no one would need you in the transaction. And I just needed to hear that again. So now I've actually been like thriving a little bit more in those moments. Like, okay, great. A problem came up. Cool. Let me go help them. Let me go do it. And that was just like a really good reminder, because I was getting very affected, to say the least, when things weren't going perfectly, because I would blame myself, and that's not what it really needs to be. That's when you're supposed to be there to go help everybody else pick up the pieces. So I see these as really nice opportunities to show your worth and your value to your clients. So like, don't get nervous before them. I would just be like, can't wait to show all these people what I've done and why it has to be the price, So I hope that's kind of helpful for you guys, but any questions on that, or any situations you guys have? Yeah,
I'm going to talk again because you just inspired me. I had a brilliant move, I think, because I'm bringing in a co-list person. I don't feel like I've given them my all. This is so humbling. And I admitted that to them. I just have not done very best that I can on it's land.
Yeah.
And I reset my price drop day. It was supposed to be yesterday. And I'm just like, I want to do 3 things before I get there. So I just reset that, asked for their permission to get the co-list person. They gave me the yes. And I feel so much better about what we're going to do next, because the co-list is a brand new broker and she wants to learn, and it'll be amazing for her in a mentor role as well. And then the other thing, I have a new listing coming on in July. It's an estate sale. The sister and auntie passed away from cancer. So I have a son, or rather, the brother and his son and daughter. And they all 3 have different price points of what they want. And the son is digging in, wanting over $1 million. The dad is cool going in under. Well, I just called right before I was late to our call. I spoke to the listing 4 blocks down, who's got way more, and she is not sold yet in the last month. So now, just listening to you, I'm thinking I'll do that Zoom call again, pull in those comps, and then we'll have a real heart-to-heart on, let's talk about why that home hasn't sold. And you guys want me to list over $1 million. If it's been on market for 50 days and we're coming on with a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath on, these are both bluff properties on Whidbey Island. Tell me what you see. I love that, Kate. That was so
just like it's honestly, it is such a freeing experience, because now most of the time, like, they're talking together and I don't even need to be there. Like, I get like the husband and wife talking, or the father and son talking, whoever all the decision makers are. And I'm like, and I'll say sometimes, like, I'll like add in a joke because it's me. Obviously, I can't like be in a serious situation, it makes me uncomfortable. I'll be like, okay, great. You guys are good. What do you even need me for anymore? You're so well trained at this point. And it like lightens up the mood a little bit, like it doesn't need to be this big, like, all right, slap the book on the table. Everyone stops. Like, I hate that. I don't, this is a collaboration. It's their house too. Like whatever you guys want to do, I'll do it. Like, this is my advice. That's all that you're coming to us for. But it does loosen up. Like, I feel like people can just take a deep breath when you just ask that question, like, well, what do you think? And then they're like, me? I don't know. I'm like, well, you're going to be a buyer in this market. What would you think? They're like, oh, okay. Well, this is what I think. I'm like, okay, now you just completely contradicted yourself with what you thought. And now you're understanding my point of view. So it's helpful. It's helpful.
Yeah, I so appreciate you. Thank you so much.
So welcome.
As Chirag says, don't own the market. We don't own
Yeah.
it. Don't control it. You got to just show it to them.
Here are the facts. How are we going to navigate these waters together? That's like another one I always say. It's like, this is hard. And like, when people are asking how's the market, I'm like, it's hard. It's complicated. And they're like, oh, why are you like, if you're saying that, really must be, I'm like, yeah, like everybody, what everyone's saying is true. Like, I don't have it all figured out. No one does. This is like me. You think I'm like, can fix it? No, I wish. Sure as hell wouldn't be real estate agent. That's for sure. If I had that power, but would not be working with you right now, but okay. No, but it's funny and it's a little humbling and it brings a human element back to it, which I try and do as much as possible. So, all right.
Kate,
Yeah.
I had a quick question about the insights, because I really like the idea of it. And I feel like a lot of it is just fluff, honestly.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm just
and
walking with you guys because my father-in-law needs this room for his, I'm down in Naples, by the way.
Oh,
And I assume that the big KPMG meeting is a little more important. So, yeah, you're good. Yes, go ahead.
on the average time spent for looking at a video, is it anything over a minute? I mean, obviously the longer the better, but what's the
no.
I feel like it also kind of like depends. It depends on how big the house is, depends on how much there is to look at. It's like for a simple condo, of course, it's not going to be as long as a big mansion that has a bunch more maybe pictures or a video or like research to kind of do on it. So I would say it really depends. Like on this house is like 2,500 square feet. It's a pretty interesting house. So I would be looking for like 2,500, be looking for like 2 minutes on it. I think that's really good. But if it was at like a minute and a half, I would still feel really confident. It's really when things are at like 25 seconds or 30 seconds that I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I've seen some that are at like 5 or 6 seconds, like those like owner taken photos. So kind of just take a look. And another great thing to do is like maybe you go on, time yourself, like Chirag, I know it says to do this sometimes too, and see how long it would take you to go and look at the listing and pretend to be a buyer, or give it, like I would give it to Matt, or I would give it to someone who's never seen it before and kind of time them and see, okay, this is how long it took them to get the gist or like the lay of the land, on the house. Look at the map, look at this, look at that, all that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Kate, I have one quick question. For digital advertising, to get the insights, you need to place the ads through the Compass portal, correct?
Yes, you do. Yep. And that's a whole other thing. Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't even mention, if you do digital ads or anything, those will also pop up on that insight report. Even better, again, show them like you spent money, and don't like shy away from it. Like tell them your investment on these things. I think it can be done in a very classy way. I know you're talking about money is taboo, but it's like, who the hell do you think paid for all those photos that you love? Me. Yeah, I invested in this because I believe in your listing. So let's get this moving. Let's meet each other halfway.
Hey, Kate.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I've been MIA for a couple of weeks. I had an injury, so I was been out of pocket. You're our queen of templates. And so my brainchild with data, because I come from a data background, too much can be horrible for the client experience, but the email you just did, I did for a listing that we never got sold because they were overpriced for 6 months, but I did it on a week to 15-day increment, and I would show the increases from the last time I emailed to the new time. But our insights report is great, but it doesn't tell the full story, to your point.
Yeah.
The showing ratings, the MLS ratings I use that as my, okay, the insight reports are the looky-loos,
Yeah.
The MLS data are qualified buyers looking at it. So I would include that data.
Yeah.
Do you see value in having a kind of a pretty Compass made branded template that is like our checklist to make sure you're giving consistent? And then if you need to add context or something to it, is that overkill? Or because I pull about 4 different sources for data.
No, I don't think it's overkill. And I think it's probably a template that I should make, is something that kind of has those fill in so that we actually know what we're supposed to be, you know, like that more human element of it that I was talking about. It would be helpful if I think maybe that was out there so that we remembered to go in and add how much of the show, you know, how many showings we have, what was the feedback, things like that. I don't think that's overkill at all. I think that's the human element that people need to hear to actually believe what the hell you're saying. Otherwise, they're like, okay, great. People spend 2 minutes on my listing. Congrats. I don't care. You know, like it doesn't resonate. I think it's those data points that do. If you were telling me like, should I give this whole CMA and like this analysis of Katona or like the whole time, like too much. Pick whatever you have to like understand the destination that you're getting to, and then put in a few little things in there to tell the story so that they end up at that destination thinking they totally got themselves there. In reality, I'm like, this is all part of my plan. That was exactly what I was trying to do. So you just kind of got to play around with it a little bit and see what works best. It also depends on the client too. Like if you have somebody who's super data oriented, maybe you do need to go to them with that. It kind of depends. These are like all those little tools. You just have to kind of pull out a few that you know will work best in that situation.
Good point.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if I get, I'm not if, of course I will get to this template. So if I make a little template like that, I'll make sure I share it with all of you guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Cool. Well, thank you guys.
So last question is, where'd you get
Yeah.
your lovely little sun addition to your body?
Naples, Florida. It's impossible for me not to get burnt. I don't know. It's really bad, really bad. Send me your sunscreen recommendations because I just don't, I have a big sensory issue, I think, with it. Like I hate the feeling and then I don't put it on, but then
Then you burn.
Mhm.
Try the spray on 50 and do the kind that has a little color in it so you can be encouraged getting your tan.
It's honestly, I self tan sometimes too, and I like the look of it so much more. There's actually no reason for me to be going in the sun. I just
Yeah.
end up there.
Yeah.
Well, it feels good though. Yeah.
It does. It does feel good. It does feel good. So
It looks good on you, girl. So just
not up here. This is
Oh, that looks
I
so
know
good.
it looks really, really tender. So that's why I was saying you,
It
yeah,
is. It's tender now, but it'll look good on Sunday or
yeah,
Saturday.
it will. Keep that
Yeah, it's
moisturizer
bad.
going so you don't
I
peel it
know.
all off.
No,
Yeah.
it's terrible. I need to be much better at it. So next time I go, I promise I won't get burnt. Promise. But-
Looks
Okay.
great. Looks great.
Have a
Thanks,
Kate.
wonderful day.
guys.
Thank you for
Thank you
everything,
so
Kate.
much and
Of
enjoy.
course. Of course. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right,
Bye.
cool. Ciao.
Bye.